What's up, guys? I figured we'd do another update. It's been a while since we kind of updated you guys. I've been driving the car for about a week now. It's got about 120 miles on it. It's been having a lot of issues because I had that stock WRX blow-off valve on it, and I wasn't able to recirculate it properly because my throttle cable is right there. So my girlfriend Megan bought me this GFB Mach 2 adjustable recirculating blow-off valve. So right now we're in the middle of hooking it up. But in order to do that, I need this elbow from the stock WRX blow-off valve. And I use this radiator hose to basically, so we can attach it this way. And so we can route it back underneath the intercooler. Which is actually, we got this run through here already. So this hose right here goes up along there and then back into my intake. But in order to adapt it to this size, which is 3/4, I had to get this sort of PVC piping thing to adapt it from inch and a quarter to 3/4 of an inch. And this, you're not really going to see it. It's going to tuck away kind of down underneath here. So I'll just basically route that right there, and then it runs underneath the intercooler and back into the intake. And so it'll finally be happy, because before, every time it would even slightly get into boost and you come to a stop, it would try to die because it's just running way too rich. Because with the mass airflow car, if you blow off all that air out of a blow-off valve, the ECU doesn't know that, so it just runs super rich anytime it blows off. So on this new GFB blow-off valve, we actually kind of had to modify it quite a bit, because normally this port is facing right down there, like in the stock location. So there's 3 bolts underneath this that we took off, and I was hoping to be able to clock it down towards this way, sort of like my brother's, but the bolts are staggered. There's only 3 bolts that hold this on, and they're kind of like in a certain position. So this is really the only way we could get it to work. And in order to get it to work, we had to take a file and file down like this, right here. It's like this, make this a little bit more flat so it doesn't run into the flange. And then it actually fit properly. And then after that, we just took these 4 bolts out and clocked this down so the port for it goes into the intake for the boost pressure source points in the right direction, because before it was pointing like straight up, and that's not going to work. So basically from here I'm going to tie in my boost gauge, because I have the hose right down here. It's just got to pull it out, but basically that's going to attach to this line right here. I have a little T-piece adapter that I got from Ace Hardware to just kind of tee that in right there. Alright, so we got it mostly hooked up. Right here, this is the line from the boost gauge. So I just ran that through the firewall. Got my little barb fitting here with some thread tape, put them together. I gotta put another zip tie right here, but then that just tees in right here, which goes to my manifold down back there. This should be good for that. And then I got that running back underneath the manifold all the way back up. And then this is just going to kind of pop in here like that. So it'll sit something like that. In a few minutes we'll see what we can do about hooking up the power to the boost gauge. But as it is, that should at least make the boost gauge read accurately. So alright, so it's all hooked up. You kind of see how it sits in there. It routes back behind there, down underneath. That's kind of what it looks like from the top. It's not too bad. It looks kind of weird with this weird, bubble thing right there, but this worked out well. It didn't actually pinch this closed. That's why I had to go to this smaller hose, is because it just there's nowhere to fit it underneath the intercooler without crushing it. So we just ran it along here, put some heat shielding on it, zip tied in place. I just got another coupler right here, and I got to clean up this rest of this RTV, but we just put RTV on the silicone to seal it. Works really well. Alright, so crawling down here in the floorboard, this is how we are gonna hook up the power for the boost gauge. We got one of these Tapa circuits. You get those from O'Reilly's or wherever, and we just use our multimeter and just probe which one has 12 volts when the key's on. That one's actually for the illumination lights on this thing. It's a 10 amp fuse. So I'm going to run this wire through here and up to my red for the power, and then I gotta run the ground down through here also and find something to ground it to. Usually I can find a bolt or something, use like a washer head for the wire, and find something down here I can just slip it under for ground, and that should be it. Okay, so it's all hooked up. It still doesn't want to really idle properly. I think the bulb on my check engine light's burnt out, so I got to figure that out. Probably just pop the cluster off and change the bulb and figure out what codes it's throwing and why it's not wanting to idle. Because we didn't really mess with anything related to the idle. We didn't mess with the throttle position sensor or the idle air control valve. It could just be a dirty mass airflow sensor, hopefully. But I'll turn it on here and kind of brake boost it and show you what it sounds like with the new blow-off valve at least. Alright, so we're going to leave it here for tonight. We're going to change that bulb in the dash and see what the check engine light's saying. Yeah, we're going to clean the mass airflow sensor also. Get some mass airflow sensor cleaner. Spray that down. I don't think it's a boost leak from the way the boost gauge is reading. It doesn't seem like there's a boost leak because the needle's kind of steady, but really not sure. So we're gonna have to do some more investigating, and I'll let you guys know. All right, thanks for watching.